Hi, I'm Maribel. Thank you for coming into my channel. Thank you for watching this video. Today I am going to walk you through how I created my self-portrait called The Wall. I created the self-portrait just with a blanket. I used natural window light to light up the scene, and I kind of stretched the blanket behind me to kind of emulate a wall that I'm breaking through, or perhaps the wall is sucking me in, who knows. But this is what the image looks like. And I welcome you into my brain. Well, not really my brain, but this is how I created the image. Okay, so we are starting from the bottom here, and as you can see, this is what the image looks like. Now, I did expand the frame here, and the reason I did that is because I knew I wanted more space than what I had originally shot. In hindsight, I could have shot with more space, but just wasn't thinking that far at the time. So while I created the image, it kind of occurred to me that, hey, I need more space. So I just added some space here, filled it with white. And next here you can see I kind of tried poorly at making the wall of the space that I added blend into the existing wall, and I did a terrible job at it. But now we're going to see my wall, and this is a stock image that I took from Pixabay. And what I did to the stock image, this is how it originally looks like. And I added some selective color. I warmed up the color balance, and I played with the curves because I wanted the room to match me, and we'll get to that in a moment. And the room, I did not like that yellow ceiling on the wall, so I just kind of expanded the frame, and I added a continual wall, if you will. Here is some curves, and now here's the wall shadow. But before I get to the wall shadow, I'm going to show you how I place myself in here. Let me just remove all these things. Okay, so here is me. Nope. Where am I? Oh, I'm in group 1. Okay. So I cut myself out first. I cut my legs out, cut my legs out of the image, and cut the top part out of the image just by masking. As you can see here, it's just a simple mask. Then I added a little curves in order for me to match the room and for the room to match me. A little bit more curves, you can't see it here. And here I'm adding some texture to the bottom of the fabric or curtain that I used. I added a little bit of texture, and I desaturated that texture. I'm adding some more texture to the top of the curtain, and I desaturated that as well. The texture is on overlay blending mode. Finally, we're coming up here, and I'm giving myself some dimensions by kind of adding a curve layer, and to this curve layer I masked it, I hid it, and then I just kind of painted in the parts that I wanted to stay in order for me to kind of get more dimension to myself and kind of pop out a little more. So I added the curves, darkened the room a little bit, and here I added a bit of a gradient using a kind of a gray layer. And here's some color toning. I wanted the room to look less green and a bit more orange but later I kind of desaturated that orange. And this is an image of a door that I took on a recent trip. Where's my door? There's my door. And I'll show you how I brought that door along. Here's my image of the door, and I cut it from an existing image from one of my personal stock image. Wherever I go, I'm always taking pictures so that I can use it in my composites. So I added, here's a bit of a photo filter for the overall room, but to the door, I removed all the kind of extreme lightness and highlights by adding a curves layer. And I gave the door some shadow on top and on the sides and on the bottom, because a real door would not just be floating on the wall like this. It would have some dimension given by shadows, natural shadows that the door would have. So I added those, and then I added darker shadows at the bottom of the door. And here I'm popping myself out a little more because I noticed that I was very blended into the background, so I popped myself out more, and I kind of darkened the room a bit. It was looking a little too cartoony for me, so I added a gradient map, and I added a gradient map, and I masked myself out of that gradient map so it would not affect me. And here are some shadows that I added to myself, and I'll show you more of those shadows. I have them way down here. These are my shadows. This is the shadow for the wall. I'll show you what that looks like. I slowly build the shadows. This is a light shadow behind me, and then here's a darker shadow because the back of the wall, the back of my back, my spine is touching the wall. So ideally I would have a shadow would be darker where my back touches the wall, and it would gradually get lighter as my back pulls away from the wall. And here's a little shadow underneath me, because naturally I would have a shadow underneath me if the light is being cast on me. Some more shadows on the wall, even more shadows on the wall, and I added some floor shadows here as well, and some shadows reflecting on the back wall. All of this, it's tedious work, but in the end it really makes the image believable, because there, it's not just like a figure floating. The figure always has some kind of shadow according to how the light hits it, the quality of light that hits it. There's always going to be a shadow. And so I think that's the end of my image. Yep, this is the end of my image. So this is the completed image, and here is where I started from. Come to think of it, I did reduce the size of my legs, because clearly my legs are bigger here than here, than there. But yep, that is me. In a nutshell, this is how I created the wall. The longest parts of this image was masking myself out of the background, and just kind of deciding what color grading and color tone I wanted to go with in order for it to emphasize, one, the main point that I'm trying to make of this image, and two, for it to emphasize myself. Because the room was not such a big factor. It was mostly about the wall and its relation to the door. Thank you so much for joining in and watching. I hope you like this little brief photo deconstruction that I did. If you want to see more, please let me know. Please comment below and let me know what you thought of it. Did you learn anything from it? And if you would like to see anything else, if you would like to see me record anything else. So Thank you for watching. Adios.